And then the guy moves.
Start the zoning board of appeals administration session for February 6th, 2025. So the first part we're going to do is our administrative. So we're going to approve the minutes on Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve?
No move.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Katie seconds. Those are approved. We'd also like to approve the secretary's fees. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, that ends our
think we need a
administrative
vote.
session. Oh, we don't, we have to vote. Okay, sorry. We vote to accept the approval of the minutes. Everyone say aye. Brian? Aye. And can we vote to accept the paying the secretary's fees? Aye.
And I am not the secretary.
Jody.
You get paid now, I get paid. So you get paid now, I get paid.
Okay, now we are going to start the zoning board of appeals meeting. Will come to order. Oh my gosh. Just to explain how this will work, first, when a matter is called, the applicant or his or her agent will present the case. At this time, any originals brought to the meeting shall be given to the clerk, Jody. Copies of the petition should then be distributed to the board members. I'm not so sure how that will work for our virtual person. How does that work?
What, I'm sorry?
Like if we have something presented to us, how does Brian?
Share it on the screen, they can see it. Otherwise, we'll just have to tell them what.
Okay, just so you understand that part. After the applicant presents, all interested persons in favor of the application will come forward and speak. After those in favor have spoken, those in opposition will then be heard. The applicant or his or agent may then address the comments made in opposition. Second, this meeting is being recorded as required by state law. It's important that we're able to understand the recording. Therefore, only one person may speak at a time, and anyone who speaks must come forward and speak clearly, as our recording device is located in the ceiling of our room, and give his or her name and address. We welcome the comments of all interested persons, but we must exercise discretion in making sure comments are on point. And if you are too far off point, we reserve the right to restrict your comments at any time. Third, applicants and interested persons may remain in attendance after the public hearing for the executive session to find out what was decided, or you may call the zoning office tomorrow morning to find out. Fourth, if an application for a waiver is granted, the waiver is not valid if the notice is not recorded. The applicant must bring a check in the amount of $60 made out to the town of Fairfield to the zoning office on Wednesday or later following the meeting for proper recording of the notice of filing. Any waiver involving construction, new dwelling, additions, exceptions, and alterations required an as-built prior to an issue of a certificate of zoning compliance and a certificate of occupancy. We are ready to move into our first application. We're going to hear first 223 High Meadow Drive, map 229, parcel 261. Petition of Stephen Grievous and Julie Cochran for a variation of the zoning regulations, section 5.2.4, to reduce the street line setback from 50 feet, currently 29.4 feet, proposing 44.1. Permission to construct a one-story addition, premises AA zone. Is the applicant here or online?
I am here online. I'm Brian Carey, representing the homeowners, Mr. Stephen Grievous and Julie Cochran. Basically, we've submitted an application as stated to reduce the front setback under section 5.24 based on the site plan that is up on the screen to accommodate a proposed residential addition to the property. We submitted a project narrative and a statement of hardship, but overall, the property owner is looking to construct a small residential addition that is compliant with zoning other than the side front setback. If you can look at the site plan, you'll see that the lot is actually a rear lot and it's irregularly shaped. So we have to meet and conform to the setback from the right of way rather than to the actual property line. If it were to go to the property line, we would be in conformance. One of the particular hardships with the property is actually the steep grade of the property itself and the presence of bedrock outcroppings that you can see to the east of where the proposed addition goes. Unfortunately, we're not able to push that over there because there is a significant amount of bedrock that is coming out of the ground in that area. So based on those, we're seeking to a relief from section 5.24 in order to construct the addition in the manner it is being proposed.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the board have any questions of the applicant, to the applicant? Any questions? Go ahead, Joe.
I'm confused. The application says the setback is currently 29.4, but you're proposing 44.1. But you're not removing any of the existing building, so you're saying that the addition will be 44.1 feet setback, but in fact, the existing setback of the existing structure is still closer. Is that correct?
That's correct. Because the existing structure is pre-existing non-conforming.
And that's your hardship?
No, the hardship, well, that is one hardship. We have a pre-existing non-conforming structure, but also just if you can see, we have to meet the setback to the actual right of way, the driveway, rather than the existing property line. But also the presence of bedrock and the irregular shape of the property makes it difficult to conform with the setback regulations. Everything else as part of the proposal is conforming with the regulations. The proposed addition is in character with the existing neighborhood. And it would be completed in an orderly fashion. Coverage, we're well under the coverage requirements and the height requirements. And we meet all of the other side setbacks. So this is the only relief we're seeking for this application.
Anyone else? Okay, no other questions from the board. We're going to move to the public. Is anyone here to speak for this application, either online or in front? No? Anyone here to speak against this application? Seeing none, hearing none, we're going to close this hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next application is 323 Old Post Road. Map 193, parcel 333. Petition of John and Rachel Blaisk for a variant of the zoning regulation 6.3.8 to construct a detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit. And section 5.2.4 to reduce the sideline setback from 10 feet, currently 4.1, proposing 4.1. To petition to remove the existing garage and construct a new detached garage with an accessory dwelling, premise A zone. Is the applicant online or, oh, could you please come forward?
Sure. Come up here.
The podium,
Oh.
please, and just state your name and address.
Sure. My name is John Belaski from 323 Old Post Road. We're just looking to remove our old deteriorating garage, and it's like a one-car garage shed kind of thing right now, and construct a new two-car garage with hope for an office on the second floor in the same spot, just a little larger than it is now.
And you know what your hardship is?
Yeah, the hardship is we're bound by two street lines and a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling on a compliant lot. Our home does not comply to the current street line and sideline setbacks. To attach the garage would require a variance for street line setbacks as well. To rebuild the garage in its current location, we would need to be consistent in character with all the neighbors' detached garages that have also received variances from the ZBA. We're only seeking reduction of the 10-foot accessory structure setbacks on one side. We're compliant with the rear property line requirement of 10 feet.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jean.
Are you applying for the second floor to be an accessory dwelling unit? It
No,
says that in our agenda,
it's gonna be an office right now.
not an accessory dwelling unit.
I mean,
They're totally different things.
what's the definition of the accessory dwelling unit?
Well, go ahead. Could you explain that to us?
Well, it was just part of the conversation we had when he originally came in. Then in the future, he was thinking about making it an ADU. But at the moment, he was gonna use it as an office. So we put it down as an accessory dwelling unit, so he wouldn't have to come back a second time for a variance if he were to convert it into an ADU.
So he is asking for the variance to be
For
for.
the ADU, yeah, but he's gonna use it as an office right now.
Criteria, did criteria for an ADU right now in terms of square footage?
Yes, yes, he's under the square footage.
Meets all the,
Well, what zone is this in again?
A.
I don't think, I thought A had special requirements for AC.
It just has to be, because it's detached, he has to get a variance for that as well.
Okay, just so we.
Right, what we're
they
approving,
meet,
correct.
they meet all the criteria.
All the other criteria are being met, yes,
Other than this
outside of
one,
it being detached.
And it's not, and you're not moving, it's going to be in the same location, so you're not increasing the nonconformity that you already have, right?
It's, the size of it's going a little larger, but it's not going closer to, yeah.
Than what you already have.
Right.
So you're building it brand new,
Yes,
so why can't you move it over 6 feet so you get that 10 feet?
because we have a pretty small property and it would be, it'd be like right in the middle of our, like, it wouldn't line up to the driveway. We'd have to move the driveway over, a lot of stuff to move over.
Yeah, it's like 6 feet. But
It's,
what's the hardship preventing you from doing that? That's tied to the property, not your convenience.
I mean, they'd have to move the power lines, they'd have to move the fence that's existing there, the driveway over. Just be a lot of stuff to get out of the way there.
Is this a corner lot?
Yes.
So, it is a corner lot, so I think he has to meet the requirements twice for the same, like he has to require the 50 twice, because it's a corner.
This is what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
right,
It's required to be 10.
right.
Just-
Okay, anyone else? Brian? I think Brian might be talking,
He's mute, you're on mute, Brian.
Brian, you're on mute.
but I think he said he doesn't have
Good,
anything
okay.
to say. Okay. It's better if, just for the record, it's probably better if Brian does talk, because the recording isn't gonna hear his thumbs up, right?
Good point.
Okay, if we could do that. Okay, is anything else from the board? Okay, so we're gonna go to the public. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak for this application? Online? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this application here or online? Hearing none, seeing none, we're gonna close this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, next up, number 3, 1320 Mill Plain Road, map 145, parcel 79. Petition of Keith and Susan.
Laura.
No, we can't do that. I think he. If you could just, sorry.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Hold on one second.
Sorry.
That's okay. I-
Then Steve was confused and he was about what we've done so far.
Okay, we're gonna just start again.
Sure, no problem.
So application of 1320 Mill Plain Road, map 145, parcel 79, petition of Keith and Susan.
Chipolaro.
Thank you so much, Chipolaro. I feel like I've done them all wrong so far. Chipolaro for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 6.3.8, to allow for an accessory structure to be used as a dwelling. Permission to construct a detached accessory dwelling unit, premise A zone. Just name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Jennifer Tierney. I am their architect and here speaking as their agent today. I do have some neighbor petitions that they did get since
So originals can go to you, and then these are.
Sure. So the Chipolaros, somewhat similar but yet different from the previous applicant, are looking to take an existing accessory structure, their garage, and convert it into an accessory dwelling unit. Yes, this dwelling unit will be, true to the word, it will be an apartment. The burden on their piece of property is that they are inside the Mill Plain 144-foot watershed. They also have a water detention easement by the town of Fairfield behind them when the development up on Sconset went in. So water on their property is an existing issue. So if any other kind of development were to go on this property, it would introduce new roof structure, which would introduce new runoff. It would also, anything of any size, similar to their existing garage, would put them over their lot coverage. So the issue with this proposal is they will be taking down their existing garage. They will be building a new structure. It is slightly bigger than what is there now. In every way, it conforms to the setbacks for a principal structure, not as an accessory structure. So therefore, in terms of design or impact on their yard, this seems the simplest thing to do, creating the least amount of new water runoff on their lot. If it were to go to the side of their property, I would be here asking for more variances, for lot coverage, for side setback coverage. So here, in terms of all setbacks, everything is met for a primary residence, except for the fact that it is detached. Even if we were to take the existing garage and attach it, then I would be asking for another variance in terms of lot coverage.
Questions?
Hi.
Just to clarify,
Sure.
all the issues with water and setbacks, none of that is what you're applying for today. You're only just asking that you can build an accessory dwelling unit.
Correct.
That's not
Clearly,
attached to the house.
here, our next step after being here is to go to conservation.
Right, but we only are focused on.
Correct.
The variance.
Yes, but I felt that I needed to bring that issue up as a burden because it exists.
So then.
Sure.
Katie? And no other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm not done. She's gonna sit down, but I'm just gonna let her sit, because she doesn't need to stand there. Does anyone from the public like to speak for this application? Just name and address. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Chipolaro, 1320 Mill Plain Road. Here with my husband Keith and my parents, Victoria and Anthony Martins, to respectfully request a variance for our proposed accessory dwelling unit project. Keith and I have been fortunate to call Fairfield home for 27 years, raised our 4 sons here, and now we're seeking to convert our existing garage into a small cottage for my parents, who recently moved from Massachusetts. The primary reason for this project is to provide my parents, especially my 92-year-old dad, who faces significant mobility challenges, with a safe and accessible living space. A ground level dwelling will allow him to enter and exit the home more easily, ensuring his safety and overall quality of life. We appreciate your time and consideration of our application. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? No? Is there anyone wishing to speak against this application? Okay, no, all right, we're gonna close this hearing. We're moving on to number 4 on our list. 1721 Mill Plain Road, map 147, parcel 268, petition of Eric Kremheller for a variance to the zoning regulations section 5.2.4 to reduce the side setback from 7 feet, currently 3.9, proposing 2.9. Permission to add on to the existing deck. Is anyone here to speak on this application online? They're online, please.
Yes, I'm here. Eric Kremheller, owner of 1721 Mill Plain Road. Yeah, so my wife and I are looking to extend our current deck, which is about 23 feet wide, that sits next to our house, flush the house. We're looking to extend it 4 feet out, which would hit the end of the house. And our hardship is that we're legally non-conforming to the sideline setback of 7 feet. It's currently, I believe, actually 3.5 feet. And I think for a deck structure, we would be able to go to 5 feet, but this is our house actually is on an angle to the property line, so it actually goes to 2.9 feet when you go all the way up to the top portion of the deck. So we're just looking to reduce the setback to 2.9 feet for just a small deck extension that we want to do.
And okay, the board, anyone questions, please, Jane?
Hi, did you consider pushing out the deck straight back to make it bigger?
So it is going straight back. It's just because the property is angled to the house is angled to the property line. It gets smaller and smaller as it goes out. So, and it's to the left side, it hits the side of my house on one side. So you can kind of see in this picture, our kitchen bump out, that's where the deck goes. And then we're just moving it all the way to the other side of the house. So it's flush to the side there. We can't really extend it anymore to the left because of the house. It's already, the bump outs there.
No, I'm suggesting putting it straight back towards the pool, that direction.
Oh, straight back towards the pool.
You want a bigger deck?
Well, yeah, we don't want it to go out further. We just need a little bit wider. We got kids that are gonna be, kids that are gonna be playing around. We're gonna put gates in there, so it just made more sense to go out to the right as opposed to extending it even further out. Because we are, as you can see, we're putting in a pool there, and there's gonna be a patio as well. And there's actually well, it's gonna be further out, but there's the big tree stump there as well that's currently under the deck as well. So it's just, there's nothing over to the right side there that would impede us from being able to do that, other than obviously the sideline setbacks.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay. Public, is there anyone here to speak for this application? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak against this application? None, we're gonna close this application. Okay, on to number 5. Okay, we're going to 29 Pease Avenue, map 243, parcel 9-1. Petition of Matt Hyde and Alyssa Russo for a variance of the zoning regulations section 5.2.4 to reduce the street line setback from 20 feet, currently 19.4, proposing 14.2. Permission to construct a 2-story addition and a 2nd floor addition, premise B zone. The applicant here.
Yes, I do. Hi, Jody.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I got the original and then there's a couple emails for the buddy neighbors. Should I pass these out or?
You could just, we'll pass them if you
Okay.
wanna just leave them there.
There's
We'll-
6 copies there.
Great,
Thank
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Hyde. So I bought 29 Peace Avenue. It's currently a non-conforming structure sitting at 19.4 inches to the setback, so it's already less than. And the actual structure itself, building and foundation, goes to 14.2. Our hardship is that, I mean, we want to go to where the property already is, but the porch itself is unfinished and we just want to finish it off. So we wouldn't be essentially adding any more foundation or structure. We would just be going on the current foundation.
So you're, what are you doing to the house? Just-
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry
go ahead.
about that. Yeah, so in the front, there's currently a porch. And essentially, we're going to be on either side, it is a non-conforming duplex. So on 6 feet on either side, we're gonna be finishing the front porch that's already existing, just to add living space.
You're enclosing it.
Enclosing it, correct, yeah.
Setbacks are changing. You're not changing the footprint.
Yeah, we're not changing the footprint at all. The foundation is there and the porch itself is already there.
Because it doesn't count, once you close it, it counts toward the setback,
Yeah.
right?
We don't have a
credit
like Right. Right. Okay, go ahead.
So, but at the same time, you're adding second floor space, second floor volume above those porches.
Correct, we're also doing that. So the second floor is just a normal pitch. It'll be less of a pitch to go over the remainder part of the porch, yeah.
So you're-
Because we're gonna be adding some room to the bedrooms up there because they're super small.
Right, so it's, you're filling in the open porches,
Uh-huh.
but you're also going up the second floor.
Correct. So the first floor will sit on the current foundation at 6 feet. The second floor will be bumped out 5 feet, so a little bit less, just to kind of add some character to it, but
You have that little going across those.
yeah, there'll be like a nice, like, little hip roof or something, yeah.
And then, sorry, and
No,
you're
go
adding
ahead.
something to the back, but that's not part of this variance.
Correct, yeah, we are adding to the back as well. We're putting us, adding to the back bedrooms and putting a bathroom up there because there's currently 0 bathrooms near the bedroom, so it's pretty tough to live.
When was this house built?
They moved it in like the 50s or the 60s, but I guess the house itself was built before 95 and they moved it. And the people that own 13 Peace Ave, the little commercial, owned that whole spot.
Really from the little-
It's interesting, yeah. So we're trying to do the best we can to keep like the structure, but add some livable space.
Questions from,
And there's no other way for you to add space to the property except to go in the front? It looks like you've got a nice backyard.
Yeah, so we are adding to the backyard. But I think just by doing so, it would look pretty bad, honestly. We're trying to keep it as, decent for the neighborhood. It's Southport, so it's a decent neighborhood, and we're just trying to essentially upgrade the current existing structure itself.
So, may I?
yes, please.
So the addition on the back is sitting on top of an existing first floor area.
Correct, yeah, so there
it's
is,
not going out anymore, just going up.
correct, yeah, so the back already has a full bathroom and
Right,
like a little,
Single story addition.
correct, so we're just adding on the second floor for the bedroom space.
So you're not adding additional lot coverage to the
Yeah,
back.
0 lot coverage, yeah. No foundation. Yep. And we're not adding foundation in the front either.
So the hardship you're asking for is your front setback.
The front setback,
That's
correct.
it, Correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's,
I just wanted to make.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah,
Anyone else have any more questions? We're gonna go to the public now. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you.
Is anyone here to speak for this application, either online or here? No, is anyone here to speak against the application? No, okay, we're gonna close this application.
Thank you.
Then move on to number 6, 350 Brookside Drive, map 123, parcel 217, petition of Isaac Alexander Jr. for variance of the zoning regulations, section 5.2.4, to reduce the side and sum of two sideline setbacks from 7 feet and 25 feet, currently 1.9 and 19, proposing 1.4 and 13.4. Permission to construct a second floor addition with an attic above a rear deck and proposing landing premise A zone. Is the application, oh, please.
How you doing? Isaac Alexander, 350 Brookside Drive. So short of it is, we're looking to basically take our existing Cape Cod and turn it into a colonial. The hardship that we're experiencing is that our family is growing. My wife is currently pregnant with our second child and wants more kids. But right now, there's not fully enough space. My office sits on the right side of the house and takes up what we call a bonus room, where the roof is pitched too much in order to make it an actual room with stairs going down in the middle. And this is a pre-existing legal non-conforming structure to add a second floor, so we're not actually looking to widen the house. It'll stay exactly as is. And then we're not looking to overbuild either, and we're not close on our total floor area. In addition, all the signatures from the neighbors have been provided to the zoning board.
Please.
Hi, so you got all the information about what is a legal hardship when you're filled out the application.
Yes.
And what a legal hardship is, it has nothing to do with your family's needs. It has to do with the property. So tell me what that hardship is.
So right now, as the property sits, it's already 1.9 feet away from our neighbors on the left side's property line. And it was, I think that was built in 1983. That's at least this thing that's etched in my driveway. So I can't move it. So we're looking to go, not touch that, but looking to go above.
So the 1.4 feet that you're asking for is to the deck, but not to, but it's not to the proposed second floor, or?
Yeah, so I'm looking to do a second floor. In addition to that, if you can see the picture, well, this is from the survey, but I'm also looking to put a mudroom in the back and a deck off the mudroom.
So the 1.4 that you're asking for
Mhm.
is to the
Deck,
deck, not to the
yes.
second floor above it.
correct. So the property line, if you can see, is not straight, it's angled.
Right.
So the deck, right, on the right, bottom right, is closer than the actual front of, let's say, where the garage is.
Right.
So that's where the 1.4 is coming.
Right, no, I see that. Okay.
Okay, and just one other question about this property. Does your property slope down?
Yes, very hard on the
If
back.
You're on Brookside Drive.
Yes.
So what's your backyard like?
It's so where the foundation is, there's a retaining wall and then it drives down, also on a ridge, and then it flattens about, I would say, 10 feet off the back door.
So there's a portion of your property you really can't use.
Yes, big time. We thought about expanding out, but it's too much and it's just too much. Because I'd have to do a foundation and have to go all the way up.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions of the applicant? On the board?
I see where the existing 1.9 is. I don't quite understand the proposed 1.4, and where's the 13.4? What direction is that? It's not clear on the site plan.
So so again, my property line is not straight. The 1.4 is at the bottom right where the deck is going to be.
Yeah.
The 13.4, I think, is on the other side of the house. Where there's,
Okay.
yeah.
13.4 is the aggregate.
So the second floor
Yes,
does not go over the deck.
No,
Deck is just a little add-on,
exactly correct.
and that's what's creating that need for variance.
That's correct.
If you didn't have that deck, would you need a variance for that part of the house?
First floor?
Well, I think I would, because where the property line is now, I would need a variance regardless, because I'm not within I'm within the 7-foot threshold.
Right, because anything you do on your property, you're gonna have to ask for a variance, because
Exactly.
you're already a non-conforming.
Yes,
For that corner.
correct.
To answer Jane's question, Matt, can I ask you that? If the applicant wasn't doing a deck, it was just going up, he still would need to be here.
It would just be at 1.9 instead of 1.4.
Right, because you don't have to do the
Yeah, because the
addition
property
of
line,
the aggregate of the sideline.
I would, but it would start at 1.9 rather than 1.4. You didn't do the deck.
Oh, right, okay. All right. Thank you very much. And now we're just gonna ask the public if there anyone is here to speak for this application. And is anyone here to speak against this application? Okay, we're gonna close this hearing. Okay, we are going to number 7, 156 Mill River Road, map 148, parcel 40. Petition of Stephen Hurd and Chelsea McGee for a variation of zoning regulations, section 5.2.5, to reduce the sum of 2 sideline setbacks from 25, currently 23.9, proposing 23.9. Permission to construct a 2nd floor addition over the existing attached garage, premise A zone. Is the applicant here or online? Oh, please.
Hello to the board. My name is Stephen Hurd. We live and own 156 Mill River Road. I'm here with our builder and general contractor, Tom Williams. We have been proud and happy residents of Fairfield for 40 years, including this specific location for the past 8 years. We're looking to expand our home, including adding bedroom space directly over the existing garage with no lateral expansion on our existing footprint. It's nearly identical to many other homes on Mill River Road who've done the same thing, bring our home in harmony with the character of our street as well as the neighborhood. We've spoken with neighbors. We've received unanimous neighbor support with 0 opposition for the proposed work, including some specific letters sent in by some direct neighbors in support. Our proposed addition puts us into the side setback for a 2-story home by a total of 13 inches. With a narrow lot, a 25-foot setback is somewhat difficult to manage given the existing footprint of the home. So to be clear, our hardship is the location of the existing structure and the foundation. In our specific situation, if required to come in by 13 inches, that would require costly excavation of the existing foundation rather than keeping that existing structure and building directly up from that. If the 2nd floor had to come in, it's also problematic for us as that's necessary to use that wall for our new expansion structurally, as well as to keep the minimal functional bedroom widths. Importantly, in our design, we're striving to maintain a lower eave height with a 5-foot wall and a shed dormer to allow for egress windows to those rooms. So in actuality, it's more like a 1.5-story addition than a proper 2nd-story addition. Thank you for your consideration. Hopefully conduct the sensible work to our own.
Questions from the board?
Just to clarify, you're not making the house any closer than it is already.
No, we're not.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Public? Like to speak for this application, please? Just name and address.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kate O'Mahony. I'm at 140 Mill River Road. I am an abutting neighbor of the Hurd family. And it is absolutely in keeping with the neighborhood. They are the best neighbors ever. I know the builder. I couldn't be more, and I think the whole street is so supportive of it. It really is. It's just that the way the houses were built, they were just a little bit tight, and it's not outrageous. The plans are perfect. So we're thrilled. So we want to keep them. So thank you so much.
Anyone else here to speak for this application? All right, is there anyone here to speak against this application? No? Okay, we're gonna close this application. Okay, we're on our last agenda item, number 8, 297 Pine Creek, map 234, parcel 258A. Petition of Deborah Jubinson to reverse or modify a decision of the zoning administrator premises BD zone. Is the applicant online or are they here?
Online.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Paoletti from Garcia and Milas. I'm here with my client Deborah Judelson for this application.
Okay.
And we will have some materials to be submitted electronically, which we'll make available after the hearing. We spoke to the clerk's office about that. So to get started, the applicant, Mrs. Judelson, can you guys all hear me? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Jamie, we were just trying to understand how we're gonna get the documents, so we were just asking.
Yes, so
we just,
go ahead.
we would need to see them before we vote, so. is that gonna
Sure.
be-
So I think the best thing to do is we're going to run through, I'm going to do a brief introduction, take care of a couple preliminary matters, hand the details of the presentation over to Mrs. Judelson, and she will run through the documents electronically for you all this evening, and then we'll make those available. We could work with Jody to get those transmitted to you all via email. And then if you wanted to leave the record open to have more time to review those, you know, we certainly consent to that.
Okay.
We want the board
please-
to have the benefit of all the
Yeah,
information that.
I just need to
been
understand
compiled.
administratively, I just want to understand administratively how we do this, because if we're not able to see these, because we vote typically after a hearing. So if we're not able to see what you introduce, because if you send them by email, we won't, I don't know if we could have them efficiently. So what would you suggest?
I was told they were gonna be submitted online, shared today.
Will they be online shared today before we vote? Because we'll be voting after this application.
So we could submit, we could share them online during the hearing. Right now, I could share my screen as we run through the presentation. There are several exhibits and a lot of information. So I would then suggest, you know, leaving the hearing open for the board to have, you know, sufficient time to review those if they so chose.
I feel like we can't make a decision based on.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry to hold you up again, but I just have I need to understand how to do this correctly. Because when she's saying that we can leave the hearing open, I've never been here when we've done that. So we've always voted on an agenda item after. So is there a way to do that where we would listen to this and then vote on it at our next meeting? Is that possible?
I would have to double check statutory.
Well, I think pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 87D, the hearing must be completed within 35 days after it commences. So I think, you know, my interpretation of the statute is yes, that can be done. Again, I'll be sharing my screen, so it would be akin to, you know, providing the documents, but I also want to be candid. There is a lot of detailed information that Mrs. Judelson will be presenting. So if the board prefers to have additional time to review it, then certainly, you know, I think that's reasonable.
I think it's hard for us to answer that until we actually see what we're getting. So why don't we let you continue? We'll watch what you're showing us. And when you're done, if we feel there's too much detail for us to make a good decision, then if you're right about the statute, which I'm sure you are, we will leave it open and we'll do it at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, but we'll proceed as of now, like we're gonna get the information we need, but we'll pivot if we need to, okay?
Certainly, thank you. And one more preliminary matter. I just wanted to request pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 8-11 that if Miss Katie O'Grady is participating this evening, if she would just kindly recuse herself from discussing or voting on this matter based on my understanding of her relationship with the owner of 282 Pine Creek that's involved in this appeal.
So, okay, again, well, we can
Oh,
proceed.
sorry, we have.
So first of all, I don't know if you can ask her to recuse herself. I think she has to ask herself to be recused.
Okay, well, I'm making the request and suggesting it would be appropriate.
Okay, it's first time.
Madam Chairwoman,
Who's talking? Oh, Brian. Yes, Brian.
the applicant would, in the absence of any other board members, the applicant would have to understand that they would be required to obtain a unanimous vote in order to get consent. My recommendation to the applicant would be if, and I'm not suggesting that Katie should have to recuse herself, but if they are interested in having a full panel vote and still maintain the ability to obtain a supermajority, which would be 4 out of 5. Right now, she has to get 4 out of 4, if Katie was not to sit
Right.
on this panel.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't make a difference.
right.
Well,
Yes.
It would make a difference in, they would have a full panel if, and
No,
again,
I think they
I'm not
understand that.
suggesting
We
she would
understand
do
that too. Well,
That work, do I have to say voluntarily do that?
I don't know. Jamie, you're asking Katie to recuse herself. Why didn't, just for us to be clear, is this something new or were you planning on asking her to recuse herself the whole time?
I was planning on it the whole time. I've been informed that there might be a relationship between Miss O'Grady and Miss Jacqueline Davis that would make it appropriate for that to be the case, for her to recuse herself. She might have been planning on it already. I just wanted, to mention it.
No,
for the record.
I was not.
No, she was not planning on recusing herself. I think we're a little confused about what the actual rules are here.
I mean, I'm friends with.
Jamie,
The-
just one more.
Madam Chairwoman.
Hold on one second, Brian. If in fact we do proceed, are you comfortable that we would vote with having to get a supermajority?
There's
And
a quorum, right?
unanimous, we'd have to be a unanimous vote of 4. Because we didn't know, so we don't have an alternate for Katie.
There's still quorum?
We can, yes, we can
Yes.
vote, but we all would have to, you have to have a unanimous vote if Katie recuses herself. Because we didn't have an alternate. Unlike if we had known, we could have brought an alternate in and then we could just do a supermajority.
Understood. I'll defer to the preference of my client.
Okay?
Are you asking to weigh in on?
Debbie, I'm asking the preference to have Katie recuse herself, understanding that there's not an alternate, or proceed. And I believe it was the former, but I wanted to confirm with you.
Yes, I would ask that she recuse herself.
And Miss, do you understand then that you'd have to have a unanimous vote? Unlike a supermajority, because we don't have an alternate to Katie, because we didn't know you were gonna ask her to recuse herself?
I also, if I may, I also feel I'm very capable of making a fair and impartial vote on this case. I know many people in this town. If I recuse myself from every person I knew, I wouldn't be able to sit on half the cases. Maybe not half, a lot. And I feel very confident I'm able to make a fair and impartial decision.
I would still go with our first request.
It's
I'm not doing it.
All right, so Katie's not going to recuse herself.
But we'll just note it.
Okay, That's fine. Okay, so we're gonna proceed with everyone as a voting member. Okay,
Okay,
so we can start now.
okay. With our noted request on the record, again, my name is Jamie Paoletti of Garcia and Milas. I'm here tonight with the applicant, Deborah Judelson, who is the property owner of 297 Pine Creek Avenue in Fairfield. Mrs. Judelson holds a master's degree from Yale School of Architecture, and she has appealed the Fairfield Zoning Enforcement Officer's October 10th, 2024 issuance of zoning compliance for a certificate of occupancy related to permit PZ 240004, sometimes referred to as the permit. For the new 2-car garage with the above office for 282 Pine Creek Avenue, sometimes referred to the structure or the accessory structure, built on the lot adjacent to Mrs. Judelson's home. As set forth in the appeal application, the structure was to be constructed pursuant to Ms. Davis's September 12th, 2023 variance application. The variance application and corresponding approval are Exhibit B to the appeal application. On October 20th, 2023, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted Ms. Davis's variance with the condition that the structure will be maintained as approved through the plans and cannot be utilized or occupied as a dwelling. Refer you to Exhibit B to the variance application. The variance application for the structure sought changes to the town's Beach District zoning regulations. Section 11-14-1 to allow a detached accessory structure to contain finished livable floor area, plumbing fixtures, and heat. Section 11.10 to increase the allowable lot coverage from 20%, presently 20%, to 25.4%. And section 11-13-1 to reduce the minimum setback from the center line of the street for a lot bounded by Long Island Sound from 45 feet, presently 35.7, to 18.1. The plan submitted with the variance application included drawings A1 and A2 showing right, rear, left, and front elevations, cross-section, foundation plan, and second floor plan. And Jacqueline Davis survey depicting proposed 2-story building, a 2-car garage with finished space above, 24.0 feet by 20.4.0 feet, 576 square feet. Ms. Davis submitted an as-built survey by Land Surveying Services LLC dated August 27th, 2024. Sometimes referred to as the Jane as-built. The Jane as-built is attached to Ms. Judelson's presentation, or will be referred to later on as Exhibit 4. The Jane as-built is clearly erroneous on its face and as confirmed by John Paul Garcia Associates, sometimes referred to as JPG or JPGA. Yesterday, Ms. Davis submitted a new as-built survey revised to show drainage trench alleged to have been in place on 10/24/24, sometimes referred to as the revised as-built. Mrs. Judelson will point out that there are serious questions about the revision drawing based on substantial extrinsic evidence, personal observations, and data compiled by JPG. As supported by the substantial evidence provided in this presentation, the ZEO erroneously issued zoning compliance for permit PZ 240004 because the accessory structure exceeds and materially deviates from the approved variance and otherwise materially fails to comply with the Fairfield zoning regulations. At this point in the presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Judelson to go through the evidence and more specifics. And I'm happy to be the person that shares the documents to which Mrs. Judelson will refer. I would just need permissions to share my screen if that's possible.
Yes, please.
Give me 1 second to figure that out. Oops. Where is the screen share? Oh, I see it. Okay, here we go. Okay. Once the permission, it says the host is, I don't have permission to share yet.
Sorry, we're just working through it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for your patience.
Sharing right now. Permission to share. Share.
You've had a big day with us today. Second visit.
So Attorney Paylady's trying to share some documents and it's saying on her screen that it's asking for permission.
Okay.
And I've never,
Maybe because someone else is sharing.
yeah, because I'm sharing. Oh, I should stop sharing then to let her share?
Oh, there you are. The big screen.
Okay, thank you. Oops. 1 second here.
Stop sharing that.
Yeah, let's see if that
Yeah.
works.
But I've never had to do that before. So my contract with Attorney Russo shared documents before while I've been sharing. So I just figured that she had the ability to share without me not sharing.
Stop sharing.
I know.
Okay, let's see.
There you go.
Is that sharing? Let's see.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
We're looking at your screen.
sorry. I had 2 screens, so now I'm confused.
What we can see is what's on your screen.
We can see the OneDrive.live.com link.
Yeah, that's probably not good. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Where's my OneDrive? Thank you for your patience now. I don't know why it's showing up like this.
You have 65 days to make a decision if you wanted to after.
65 days.
So if she's unable to share, she wants to go through her process, she can submit everything that she has to the 5 of them. Then
Make a
leave
decision
that
next
hearing
time.
open.
Just hearing.
But we all have to.
Okay. I think that's good.
Okay.
She's got something.
A lot.
It is a lot. All right,
Should I go
So
ahead?
now, yeah, so Mrs. Judelson, you're gonna go, and Attorney Paoletti, you're just gonna know when to bring things up that she's talking about?
Yes,
she'll signal to me, yes.
Okay, please
Thank you.
proceed.
yes. Well, let's start with preliminary
I'm
matters.
sorry, just name and address, I don't think we've done that yet.
My address,
Just name and address, you could just say it for the record.
yes, the address that this appeal is about is 282.
No, just your name
My
and
property
address.
address. My property address is 297 Pine Creek Avenue. My name is Deborah Jovelson.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Now you can, please go ahead.
I would also request at this time that any texts that are used during the time that I'm presenting be also admitted into evidence. So anybody who is texting back and forth, if they would please also admit their texts into evidence here today.
It's not a court of law.
Does she mean us?
I don't know.
I think she
No,
wants
no,
to move with this.
I'm specifically referring to the board. Thank you. No, people who are in the room. If you choose to.
It's freedom of information, if we're into private text, that's part of the, but we're not doing that.
No. Okay, please go ahead.
I was specifically referring to Miss O'Grady.
Oh, no.
Right, so if you would not, or just admit your texts, that would be fine. So preliminary matter. Can you hear, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Who? Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, sorry. Preliminary matters. Many of the terms that will be discussed tonight, such as lot coverage, accessory structure, and setback, require a determination of what is the lot under consideration. The term lot is defined in section 31.2.20 of the Fairfield zoning regulations, the regulations, as a parcel of land which is owned separately from any adjoining parcel or parcels, as evidenced by deed or deeds or maps recorded on the land records of the town. As can be seen from Exhibit 1, deed to Davis. Okay, and if you would just scroll down to look at the schedules. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of a computer issue at this moment. My computer's frozen, sorry. A deed from to her daughter Davis for 282 Pine Creek Avenue. I'm sorry, so, all right, let's start again. The deed from Pierce to her daughter Davis for 282 Pine Creek Avenue does not include any land north of Pine Creek Avenue. This is, and so if you look at the Schedule A, that you will see the first one is highlighted and you'll see it, and it says that the property just goes to the road at Pine Creek Avenue. Okay. This is also true of the deed to Davis's mother, which has a similar legal description. It's Exhibit 2, deed to Pierce. You see, it says by the highway, Pine Creek Avenue, 40 feet. Again, there are a couple of things to note in both of these documents, and that is that 40 feet is the dimension of the width of the parcels, and also that they do not cross over Pine Creek Avenue, both of them. Accordingly, even if Davis owns the garage parcel as she represented to the board, a claim for which we have found no support despite diligent examination, it would not be part of the same lot as 282 Pine Creek for the purposes of the regulation. This is consistent with the assessor's records, which is Exhibit 3. And you'll see with the assessor records, I'm waiting for the, yeah. The total square footage of the 282 Pine Creek Avenue property is equal to 8,614 square feet, not the 10,631 square feet used for the lot coverage calculation on her survey. So now looking at Jane's as-built survey. Number 4, yes. And if you zoom in and go down, one obvious, go down to the bottom where the garage is shown. Can you move that down, Jamie?
Right here?
If you can, get the bottom half of the drawing, which is the garage.
That's what we had when we made the decision the first time.
Yeah, but this is gonna be very hard for us to make a decision. It's so hard to even see what she's sharing.
Can you?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you know, to tell you now, it's very difficult to see what you're sharing. Just because it's on a screen very far away and there's a lot of details you're referring to. I just wanted you to know right now that the presentation of this is most likely we won't be able to vote today because we can't even see the details.
Jamie, can you scale, can you get to the bottom of the drawing?
But this is in all the drawings, like, you know, if you're gonna present a drawing, we need to be able to actually read it. And I mean, can you read any of that? We can't read it. I don't wanna waste your time. I mean, you can certainly do your application, but if these things are important and we can't read them, we will not be able to make a decision today. And, which is fine, according to, we understand we have 65 days, not 35 days from after your application to, make a decision. So if you want, we of course move forward, but understand that we can't see what you're presenting. We cannot see what you're sharing. No, not, this is all new, right? Attorney Paoletti, is all of what you're presenting here new, or is it on the application?
This is much more detailed than the application, which is why I started with, I understand that there could be a lot of it. Oops.
I'm sorry, please, excuse me, can you start again? I apologize. Mrs. Attorney Paoletti, could you say that again?
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, I mean, a summary is on the application, but this is much more detailed. That I understand will need to be, that's why I started with, if the board needs to take this under advisement and review the documents that we're, you know, discussing this evening, that's 100% understandable, and we'll get them to you in a format that, you know, could be reviewed at your leisure.
Okay. Okay, so, Mrs. Chuddleton, you can go on, but we're not gonna be able to see what you're saying. So if you want to just give us the overview and we'll have time later to review the documents ourselves.
I'm sorry, but Jamie, could you, let me try to complete my presentation as I would like to make my appeal. And Jamie, can you get the bottom half of this drawing onto the screen? It just shows the top. I would like to see the garage if possible.
See, mine is showing the garage. That's why I don't understand. So,
so there's something wrong with it not showing the bottom half of the drawing.
Is that for just you, or is that for everybody?
That's for everybody.
No. Jamie, can you send the exhibits now?
Well, I will, I mean, I could try to send them now.
If you sent them now, we wouldn't be able to get them to the commission right away.
I just would like to make sure that you have the document.
Yeah, and we will. I will ask my office to make sure that they are transmitted. I could ask them to get that process, you know, started, but I don't think that's going to help at the time.
All right. This is also true of the deed to Davis's mother, which has similar legal description. And now we've moved on to the field. So exhibit number 2. Can you put in exhibit number 2? We'll go backwards and sort of regroup. Okay, so you can see, can you see this here, Madam Chairman?
Yes, we can see that. I mean, no, to be fair, we can't read it. It's too far
Okay,
away.
I'll
We
read
can
it.
take your word for it that that's what it is until we have time to look at it, but we cannot read that from here.
So my suggestion would be, Debbie, for you to give the presentation, you know, verbally. I'll run through the documents so people can get a sense of what you're referring to and have some familiarity. And then we are going to have to transmit this stuff to the board so that they can, you know, review it. That's my suggestion.
Now, just so you know, other option is to continue this and come back. with-
I apologize. I'm sorry, I apologize. We were planning to hand deliver it had we been able to get to you.
Right, but if you'd like, we could continue the hearing and you could come back and be on the agenda for, I think it's March 6th.
Yeah, I think I would prefer to continue, but I will, Jamie, will continue to do this. I will try and read the screen also, so it'll be a little bit challenging, but I think it's important to note.
Just so I understand, you said the word continue. Do you want to continue your application till March, or would you like to proceed today?
Proceed. Sorry, I used the word continue now. Sorry.
So you want to proceed?
Proceed, yes.
Okay, but I really don't think, I think it's a waste of everyone's time to keep bringing up exhibits we can't read. So if you'd like to talk, we're more than willing to listen, but none of us can read these. They're too far away.
Okay. I'll show the pictures and I'll proceed. Thank you.
But don't show the pictures.
No,
We
I
can't see
think
them.
that's important. Some of them I think will be easy to see, unless, I think they'll be easy to see.
Okay,
And
we will, I'm gonna really tell you that we cannot read them, so they're not easy to see. Like, we cannot read the words, like, we can read some of it, but we can't see it. So I'm gonna have to ask you not to show them.
No, if you do that, that'll impair my ability to make my presentation, and I would think that I'm allowed to appeal, and that's what I would like to do today, please.
Okay, that's better. We can see that.
Okay, well, maybe I'll share it like this.
Okay.
And frankly, you know, I think that anything that's on the screen, even the application is, you know, difficult. Like, we'll make sure that you get copies, you know, to
Okay,
review.
but
It's
if you
more for
can do,
reference.
if you can do that, that would be great.
Sure, I'll do my best.
Okay.
The scaling it up, yeah, okay. So if you can scale it, but can you run it to the next part of the drawing, the Schedule A? Yes, move it down, yes. And this one too shows that it's by northerly by the highway of Pine Creek. So both, thank you so much, Jamie, that's great.
Okay, good.
So basically what you should know is that the property is 40 feet wide and that the property only extends to Pine Creek Avenue. So the deed that Jacqueline Davis has is only for the property on the south side of Pine Creek Avenue. Accordingly, even if Davis owns the garage parcel as she has represented to the board, a claim for which we have found no support despite diligent examination, it would not be part of the same lot as 282 Pine Creek Avenue for the purposes of the regulations. This is consistent with the assessor's records, exhibit number 3, Pine Creek Avenue field card. And at the bottom of the field card, Jamie, yes, and if you can scale it up, it says that the land unit is 8,614 square feet, not the 10,631 square feet used for the lot coverage calculation on her survey. And we could try the survey again to see if that makes it, if you can scale it up a little. The problem is we're not looking at, yes, and now if you would, the middle part, which shows sort of a little clear boxed area, that shows that Jane, her surveyor, said that the square footage of the lot was 10,631. Can you scale that, Jamie, to look at the middle portion that has the white box, not the bottom of it, it's the middle of the document.
I can't scale it on this view, so
Well, then we will. Okay.
I could do that. Does that help?
No. Anyway, Jane, her surveyor, has announced that the property square footage is 10,000, it's the middle one that, 10,631 square feet, which is used for lot coverage calculations on her survey. One obvious consequence of this conclusion is that the garage is not an accessory structure, since an accessory use is required to be located on the same lot. And so that means, according to 31.2, accessory use, a use customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal use of a building or property and located on the same lot with said building or use. And I want to point this out here because when I last was in front of this board, you heard a case where a gentleman wanted to build a barn on a structure, on a lot adjacent to his primary lot where his house was, and it was denied by the board because the property didn't have a primary structure on it. And so as a result, this is an example where this is not really an accessory use anymore because the house is on the lot that is documented in her deed, but she doesn't own, has no proof she owns the property where she built the garage. The basis for overturning the ZEO's issuance of the certificate of zoning compliance. So I'd also like to say at this time, it's important to sort of think about this a little more in depth. It's that in asking for an increase of lot coverage to 25.4%, Mr. Fallon represented to this board, it should be noted that the main dwelling located on the portion of the lot bordering Long Island Sound is compliant with the current 20% coverage requirement, and no increased coverage on that portion of the lot is requested. He seemingly put such reliance on this point that he later stated, it should first be noted as previously referenced that the portion of the lot bordered by Long Island Sound and where the principal dwelling is located is compliant with the 20% coverage provision. In fact, the real fact is that the coverage on 282 Pine Creek lot only met the 20% requirement by adding the total area of this parcel, the approximately 1527 square feet of the parcel across the street from what she documents as owning. Considering the lot, which is included in her deed on the south side of Pine Creek Avenue alone, which is what Mr. Fallon was referring to, and based solely on the dimensions of the land engineering services for all measurements south of Pine Creek, the lot for the dwelling is only, the lot coverage for the dwelling is really 23.4%, 2126 square feet of coverage per the 9,104 square foot of the lot she does own. And the 10,631 total claims both sides of the road, less the 1527 for that parcel on the north side where she built the garage of Pine Creek Avenue of 9,104 square feet. In other words, he was double counting the land on the north side of the street to support both the dwelling and the proposed new structure. Another basis for overturning the ZEO issuance of certificate of zoning compliance. As described below, there are numerous reasons why the completed construction and ultimate use did not qualify to receive a certificate of zoning compliance. Any one of the items discussed below would be sufficient on its own for the ZEO to have withheld the certificate of compliance, but the sheer number of Davis's violations overlooked by the ZEO is overwhelming. The as-built lot coverage substantially exceeds the amount authorized by variance. Section 1110 of the regulations allows for 20% lot coverage of 2126 square feet, all of which was previously used. The Zoning Board of Appeal variance allowed for the garage structure an additional 576 square feet for a total of 2702 square feet, or 25.4% of the 1061 square feet of combined property. While the as-built lot coverage is approximately 2898 square feet, which is 27.3%. That adds an additional 200 square feet of lot coverage on this tiny parcel. It's composed of the following items. So the additional square footage comes from the pier-to-pier base of the garage structure, which is built slightly larger than approved, 24.1 by 24.1 for a total of 580 square feet or 4.8 square feet larger than approved. The permanent awning, which is part of the front of the structure over the garage doors, extends 2.2 feet from the vertical face of the structure in front of, into the front yard setback. Looking at Exhibit 5, you can see the framing for this. So you can see it's substantially attached. It's part of the structure. So that's Exhibit 5. This is part of the outside dimension of the structure and therefore part of the lot coverages for purposes of section 31.22 of the regulations. You can also look at photo 6, which is Exhibit 6. And you can see here that it is part of the structure. This permanent awning is 24.4 feet wide or 24 feet 5 inches wide. And if you look at Exhibit 7, our surveyor's survey, Exhibit 7. Exhibit 7 is a survey from our surveyor, and what it shows is the awning. If you look at the colors on the screen, you'll see that there's a solid sort of magenta square in the center, and around it there's dotted lines representing the structure overhead. And what you can see here is that there is a fair amount of additional structure not considered by in the variance in this variance. And so what you can see here is that the permanent awning, or maybe what you can't see, but I will tell you, the permanent awning has 24 feet 5 inches wide or 24.4 feet, and then it extends 2.2 feet into the front yard setback. Exhibit 8, which is a letter from my surveyor. Can you flip the pages on this, Jamie, and go to the discussion on awning? So just look at that's setbacks. Actually, it also will be there, right there, sorry. It says the distance from the outermost part of the roofed awning to the front is 2.2 or 2.3 inches. And that totals a lot coverage of 53.7 square feet. So that adds an additional 53.7 square feet. Exhibit number 9, photo of the apron. Okay, the solid apron, which you can see in this photograph, is composed of a combination of concrete and block and asphalt in front of the garage that extends from over the westerly property line to beyond the easterly property line. And I don't know if you can see that, but if you go back to Exhibit 7, the JPG survey, if you can enlarge it a little bit, you might be able to see the green lines represent the boundaries. And you can see that the pink lines, horizontal lines at the bottom, paver apron, asphalt apron, extend beyond the property lines on both sides. So this combination of block and asphalt in the front of the garage that extends from over the westerly property line to beyond the easterly property line. It's an impervious surface, and as such, is counted as lot coverage in the beach district. Section 1110 of the regulations provides in part, in calculating lot coverage for new construction, all impervious surfaces shall be included. This impervious surface is described on the Jane as-built survey, which is Exhibit 4. And if you go to the lower area and the bottom of the drawing, you can, Jamie, and then scale it up, you'll see that where we have just seen the impervious surface, this is labeled existing gravel driveway.
Yeah, we really can't see that, just so you're aware.
Okay, well, just to note that in front of the gray square, all the way to the front, it lists it as existing gravel driveway and makes no mention of the fact that it's impervious surface. Okay, number D, the lot area covered by the HVAC mounted on the easterly exterior is shown in this same exhibit number 4. If that can be scaled up at all, that would be great. Okay, so but it has not been correctly measured or counted at all in the lot coverage. As measured by our surveyor, the dimensions of the externally mounted HVAC are 3.7 feet by 1.4 feet, which is 5.2 square feet. The actual total lot coverage, as if the garage were part of the lot across the street, which is based on the invalid assumption provided to the town by the applicant, is 27.3%, despite the fact that Davis was only granted a variance to 25.4% lot coverage. However, the amount of coverage for the separate garage lot, when properly calculated.
Excuse me, we're gonna take I need a recess for just 1 minute, okay? I'll be right back. So, I think we can stop the recording.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Heard this, her appeal of the AC granting. Oh, we heard it 2 weeks ago, or a month ago.
Oh, thank you. Based on all the information you're presenting and all this new information, we're going to continue this until next month. We feel that the property owner has a right to be here along with her counsel. This is just a lot to bring up, and we need you to come back in March. Yeah, and hopefully, and I know you can submit everything. Right. But we're gonna continue this until March 6th.
I think that would require a vote. So
I don't know if we-
I'll move that we continue.
Excuse me.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Are you suggesting that I don't have a chance? That I don't have a voice in this? This is your decision.
Yes, in terms of being continued, we have, as a ZBA board, have the right to continue the hearing.
We would do it better to have the documentation in front of us.
I really do think it's best for your application because you're saying so much that we've never heard before. There's nothing in front of us. It's so difficult.
Well, give me 1 moment, please, off the screen here to confer with my clients, because I don't know that there's a right to continue the hearing without consent of the parties. And I think that I need to speak with my clients on whether or not they're willing to do that.
Okay.
I do appreciate there's a lot of information and we want to make sure it's heard and that all communications, among everyone, are on the record and not ex parte off the record, or partially on the record and partially off the record. And I know that's a little more difficult via Zoom, given the weather and our limitations in getting there physically today. But give me a moment to confer with my client and we'll be back.
Okay, and then we will vote on a, okay.
Go back and vote again.
I'm sorry, the tape was off, so we're gonna do that one more time, and we're gonna do it better.
I move that we continue this public hearing until March 6th.
I second that.
Say the address.
The address.
297.
297 Pine Creek Road.
Okay, and we're gonna take that to a vote.
Yes.
Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all in favor. Now I'm gonna close the public hearing. You guys like to come back on March 6th, you're more than welcome.
Don't remember why you were here.
Yeah, I'll check my calendar.
Okay, we are ready to vote. Okay. So I'm gonna call back to order the zoning board of appeals meeting for February 6, 2023. 25, we will now be voting. The first item we are going to vote on is, I don't have my list anymore, things got so crazy. Thanks. The first item we're gonna vote on is item number 1223 High Meadow Drive, map 229, parcel 261, petition of Stephen Previous and Julie Cochran for a variance with zoning regulations 5.2. Do I have to read all that? Okay. I didn't want to, if I was bothering you guys. To reduce the street line setback from 50 feet, currently 29.4, proposing 44.1, permission to construct a one-story addition, premises AA zone. Right now, I would like a motion to approve.
Moved. Motion to approve.
And I have a second.
Second.
Okay, Katie is second.
So moved.
Let us discuss. Is there any discussion on this application?
This is, yes,
Please.
this is a corner lot, so it has some aspects that we have to consider. And plus of this is that it's creating an accessory dwelling unit.
Wrong one.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Sorry, back up. What you said. This has, a very unusual lot that has a lot of topography issues, so it has all the hardships.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, let's bring it to a vote. We'll start, I think we'll start in the car.
Yes.
So Brian is a yes. Katie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is an approved application. Okay, next, 323 Old Post Road, map 193, parcel 333, petition of John and Rachel Blaish for a variance to the zoning regulations, section 6.3.8 to construct a detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit, and section 5.2.4 to reduce the street line setback from 10 feet, currently 4.1, proposing 4.1. Permission to remove the existing garage and construct a new detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit, premise A zone. Can I have a motion to approve?
To approve.
Katie, second?
Jane second.
Jane seconds, discussion.
This is a corner lot.
Yep.
Like I said. And so it has a few things to consider about that. The plus, or the positive aspect of this application, it does create an accessory dwelling unit. The location, putting it in the same 4.1 feet from the existing lot line doesn't make it worse. So I'm in favor of this application.
Yeah, I am too. Anyone like to speak? Okay, we're gonna ready for a vote? Okay?
Yes.
Brian is a yes. Katie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That's approved by everyone. Okay, number 3. 1320 Mill Plain Road, map 145, parcel 79, petition of Keith and Susan Saporla for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 6.3.8 to allow for an accessory structure to be used as a dwelling. Permission to construct a detached accessory dwelling unit, premises A zone. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Katie, second.
Jane seconds.
Jane seconds. Let's discuss.
The architect made the presentation and talked a lot about conservation issues, which is not anything we need to discuss.
Yeah,
So
but not in our wheelhouse, right? Nothing we're doing.
Nothing we're doing. So the only variance they're asking for is to create an accessory dwelling unit. That's detached.
Exactly.
And
Which is, they need a variance because it's not allowed in this zone.
right, and I am in favor of that.
As am I. Brian, do you have anything to say or are you just ready?
No, I'm good. I am a yes.
Well, don't vote yet. I just want to make sure everyone's.
No, I'm good.
Okay, now we're ready to vote? Okay, Brian,
Yes.
Katie? Yes. Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. That's majority yes, all yeses. Okay, we are on number 4. 1721 Mill Plain Road, map 147, parcel 268, petition of Eric Heller for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 5.2.4, to reduce the side setback from 7 feet, currently 3 feet, 3.9, proposing 2.9. Permission to add on an existing deck, premise A zone. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Jane seconds.
Jane seconds. Discussion.
I don't think there is a hardship. They have other alternatives for adding onto this deck in other directions. And what they're proposing, the 2.9 feet is too close to the property line, I believe.
Did we have a?
Can I answer? Or I'm sorry, I can't see anybody.
You're, please talk, Brian.
All right. I think that based on the direction that the house is built at that funky angle on the property, and they're not asking for an enormous encroachment based on where it currently is. I don't think it's unreasonable to build it where they're asking. There's been no objection from the neighbors. There's really no negative impact visually on the neighborhood. It's simply squaring it off of for lack of a better term, a cockeyed house. And to ask them to redesign it or, go a different direction and take up more space in their yard. I don't think it's really reasonable to ask them to go back and redesign it. It's a difference of 1.5 feet, and it squares with the house. It's clean. A foot. It's 1 foot. So I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
But the option they would have in order not to make the setback worse would be to come out the other way.
Build the deck
Or
bigger
build a deck at a 15-degree angle from the corner of their house.
Well, they don't have to do that, but like Jane was saying, they could go this way. They could make it bigger going further back, or they could make it bigger going to the other side.
Correct. This is
right.
This is what you ponder,
It's just someone using their property the way they choose to, in a way that has zero impact on anyone around them, with no objection. And if anybody ever wants to change anything on the property again, they're coming back here for another variance. If they ever wanted to close it in or build up on it or do anything else, they'd have to come back before us again because it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. So again, I don't think we're creating an FAR. We're not creating any FAR issue. Any of the traditional issues that we really object to as a board, and it's 1 foot.
I'd add also the only person theoretically that would be impacted by this is the neighbor on that adjacent side, but if I recall, we have their approval and blessing. Yeah, it's a property owner who pays property taxes, that bought their house for a lot of money, just using their property, asking for a very small 1 foot. So I think personally it's very reasonable.
They've got other alternatives. And where they have other alternatives, I don't think we should be giving them an approval to encroach closer to the side yard than they already are, which is also less than they should be.
Okay, I think, are we ready to vote? Okay, Brian?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Joe?
No.
Jane? No. I'm also a no. Okay. Number 5. 29 Pease Avenue, map 243, parcel 91. Petition of Matt Hyde and Elisa Rosso for variance to the zoning regulations, section 5.2.4, to reduce the street line setback from 20 feet, currently 19.4, proposing 14.2. Permission to construct a two-story addition and a second floor addition premise B zone. Can I have a motion to approve?
To approve.
Katie, second?
Jane seconds.
Jane, seconds. Discussion.
The porches that are already there, don't count.
Don't count.
Don't count when it comes to setback, so that 19.4 is from the property line to the face of the house, not to the edge of the porch, correct? So what we're approving is not to make any more coverage on the front of that.
It's not getting any closer.
It's not getting any closer.
Any other discussion? Okay, we're ready to vote. Brian?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Okay, 350 Brookside Drive, map 123. Sorry, map 123, parcel 217, position of Isaac Alexander Jr. for variance in zoning regulations, section 5.2.4. To reduce the side and sum of two sideline setbacks from 7 feet and 25, currently 1.9 and 19, proposing 1.4 and 13.4, permission to construct a second floor addition with attic and above a rear deck, and proposing a landing with stairs, premises A zone. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Brian, second.
Second.
Katie. Discussion.
I think it's a fairly simple request for a pre-existing non-conforming lot, trying to make the most of a difficult property. And I think it's more than reasonable.
Anyone else?
Just that, here's a case where I don't think they do have alternatives, so.
Right, exactly. I agree with that. Okay, we're ready to vote. Brian?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Okay, that is approved unanimously. Okay, number 7. Last but not least, 156 Mill River Road, map 148, parcel 40, position of Stephen L. Hurd and Chelsea McGee for a variance of zoning regulations, section 5.2.5, to reduce the sum of two sideline setbacks from 25 feet, currently 23.9, proposing 23.9. Permission to construct a second floor addition over the existing attached garage, premise A zone. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Jane, and I need a second.
Second.
Second is Joe. Discussion.
They're going straight up, they're not increasing any coverage. Doesn't create any hardship to any neighbor.
That's right. Yes, and they have a hardship. Anyone else would like to discuss? We're good? Okay, we're gonna go to a vote. Brian?
Yes.
Yes. That's a yes? Was he saying, yeah, that's me, or that's a yes?
Yes. 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 Yes.
I just want to make sure. Katie? Yes. Okay. Joe?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. That's a unanimous yes. Okay, we are gonna close this, and I want to thank everyone for their patience.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Clear your schedules for next month, folks. See you later.
We're